Part 144. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1441. Emperor Xianzhang and the others were already heading towards the storm silver blade ball. Seeing this, many prison masters and ghost kings did not avoid letting those who entered first seize the opportunity. They also rushed over there. The troubles between brothers and sisters in the Starry Sky Prison Lord's family often happen in their family. It's okay to watch the excitement, but the most important thing in their hearts is the Storm Silver Blade Ball and the 10th grade Immortal King print. The wheel-turning Ghost King must be in a very unhappy mood. However, everyone else started to go in. It was a race against time. He was afraid that he would not have time to waste time with Wu Yu. Purple Eyes was still injured, so he asked the remaining Ghost King to take care of him, and then called the other three. A Ghost King, with a cold face, chased the others together. Although the Will Ghost King doesn't care much about himself, it doesn't matter to Wu Yu. Anyway, he has been above board and got the chance to enter. Next, in the Storm Silver Blade Ball, everyone may rely on their own abilities. The closer you get, the more stormy it becomes. When the 1000 colors thunder ball hits, you need to resist the attack of the 1000 color thunder ball. But at this time, you need to face the explosion of thousands of silver blades. This is the place where the violent blades are sweeping. It is very normal for anyone who is not strong enough to come here to be cut into pieces by the violent wind silver blade. The major prison lords and ghost kings used the celestial rules to protect their bodies and force their way in. The threat they faced was not great at present. Wu Yu could withstand it temporarily with his physical body. But if you go deeper, you may need the power of two worlds to protect your body. In fact, Wu Yu's combination and quality of these two world powers are almost the same as the ancient Holmium god in terms of the majestic power. In addition to magical powers, although the magical powers of ancient Holmium God Lord and others are also top-notch, although Wu Yu has never fought against them, he still has absolute confidence in his four major magical powers. Close. In front of Wu Yu, Emperor Xianzhang and the others were already there. They plunged into the stormy silver blade ball first and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Immediately afterwards, the other prison masters and ghost kings also entered without changing their expressions. Wu Yu clearly felt that the storm silver blade ball was different from the last time's multicolored thunder ball. If there is something similar to the 9 color beads here, then the method and difficulty of obtaining it should be completely different from the 1000 color thunder ball, otherwise it would be meaningless. If Wu Yu was the designer, he would also design this test to be more interesting. When he approached the storm silver blade ball and suddenly entered it, he frowned deeply when the violent silver blades cut in densely. It's much more uncomfortable than that million-colored thunder ball. Now he has fallen into the scope of the storm. Not only can the storm cut, but it also has majestic wind power. Wu Yu himself has not moved yet, and the strong wind has swept him somewhere. There is no one around him. Some are just crazy storms, and there are dense, uninterrupted, crazy silver blades that are bombarding and tearing at him, sometimes easily, sometimes fiercely. When they are fierce, Wu Yu must concentrate on resisting with all his strength, and even use fusion. The tower used the time-changing fairy formation to hinder those silver blades, and the effect was quite obvious. But after all, the floating life tower is an immortal artifact of creation, not a divine artifact of Taixu. It is already a little unable to do what it wants. After all, this has something to do with the pattern of the immortal artifact. It is really difficult to influence the era divine formation by relying on the artifact of creation. Even if Wu Yu's cultivation level becomes stronger in the future, the inside of the floating life tower will not be able to support his 100 times of time. In other words, when he is stronger and enters the fusion tower again, the balance of the 100 times of time in the floating life tower will be impossible. Will be destroyed, and time will slow down directly. Otherwise, the floating life tower would not be an immortal weapon of creation. After all, the immortal weapon of creation has its limits. Wu Yu quickly discovered the difference between this place and the Thousand Colors Thunder Ball. The multicolored Thunder Ball was heading towards the center. The treasure was in the center, the most difficult place, and only he, the ancient Holmium God Lord, and Moug could reach that place. But in this Storm Silver Blade Ball, there is no direction at all. It's like an endless maze. I don't know which direction to go. The storm is the most violent, and it changes all the time. I just found that going in one direction gave me a feeling of moving forward. But just after a while, the storm suddenly weakened. Moreover, I don't know where to get out now. It is a new problem for everyone. Most of them have never entered the Thousand Colors Thunder Ball, so they may be able to adapt to it. But, does this Storm Silver Blade Ball have no restrictions on ghosts and gods? Previously, if Wheel Runner Ghost King and the others wanted to score a Thousand Colors Thunder Ball, they had to resist at least 20 times the thunder impact of the immortal lords. Wu Yu has not seen other ghosts and gods now and does not know their situation. He was too lazy to care about others. He had no direction at the moment, so he followed his intuition and walked around casually, observing the surroundings with his sharp eyes to see if he could find anything. He can still withstand normal storms, but occasionally he encounters a terrifying level, an overwhelming storm, carrying thousands of silver blades to slash violently, so he can only hide and flee. If you can't escape, you can only endure it, and you will definitely be injured. The key is, I have no clue, no direction, I don't know which way to go. After a long time, I will definitely not be able to survive under the impact of such a storm. Wu Yu knew what was going on. He gritted his teeth, held the storm silver blade against his head, and moved forward quickly. Human figure, after turning around for about a quarter of an hour, this place seemed like a closed world, and when there was no harvest at all, a figure seemed to flash in front of him. This chapter is not over yet, please click the next page to continue reading. A quick glance, but it is certain that it should be a ghost king. But it is not certain whether it is the prison master or an ordinary ghost king, and some ordinary ghost kings are also in a very high realm. Those who can be selected and come here are basically above the third level of the Taigzi ghost realm. They are not easy to deal with, so although Wu Yu saw this figure, he did not specifically attract its attention. But unexpectedly, the other party actually discovered him. He flashed by, and then immediately turned back to Wu Yu's side, and stared at Wu Yu all of a sudden. "Young master. What a coincidence, I didn't expect to meet you here." The man quickly appeared in front of Wu Yu, and Wu Yu looked closely and found that it was an acquaintance. The Ghost King of Dongshen, the master of the Starry Sky Prison, under the command of the Ghost King of the Wheel. This is a favorite of the Ghost King of the Wheel, and a good brother who has fought with him almost since childhood. He is also a third or fourth ranked figure in the Starry Sky Hell, and his realm is the third level of the Taigzi Ghost realm. He has followed the Ghost King of the Wheel for a long time and has great authority. He has a star field and several stars of his own. He is considered a local tyrant. Of course, he is completely on the side of Zi Mao. After all, he has no blood relationship with Wu Yu. Before, only the Ghost Kings in the Ghost King of the Wheel family thought that the eldest brother was the orthodox. Of course, it is rumored that after Bai Mao died, even these Ghost Kings did not pay attention to Bai Mao. The Ghost King of Dongshen in front of him has red eyes, a black robe, no hair on his head, and 3 colors of flames burning, which are very dazzling. The ghost fire is gloomy and frightening. When Wu Yu saw him at first sight, he knew that this person was hostile to him. This is the third level Ghost King of Taigzi Ghost Realm, much stronger than Wanggu Ghost King and Zaihan Ghost King. The people of Guru Shenjun are far from being the opponents of this old guy, let alone me Ghost Kings and Immortal Kings. Each level is tens of thousands of years of hard training, the gap is of course huge. Dongshen Ghost King is more powerful than Zaihan Ghost King and others. Young master, don't rush to leave. Facing such an existence, Wu Yu consciously got together with him. There was nothing good, so he was too lazy to pay attention to him and turned away. Unexpectedly, the Dongshen Ghost King actually came to intercept him. He stood in front of Wu Yu, with a sarcastic smile on his lips, and said, "In fact, I have a new respect for the young master. It's not easy to endure humiliation for 10 years and think about the return of the king today. It's really a little interesting. You want to stop me?" Wu Yu raised his eyebrows and looked unfriendly. He naturally saw that the other party intended to make trouble for him. He certainly didn't have the courage or the need to do so. After all, he was only loyal to the Will Ghost King and had no grudges against Wu Yu, so if he had any ideas, they should have been instructed by the Will Ghost King. "I dare not, but in order to avoid the young master's impulsiveness and to let the young master stay at ease for a while, there are plenty of fine wines and beauties in my Taixu artifact, and the young master can enjoy them freely." A Taixu artifact similar to a city appeared in his hand, with lights shining inside and singing and dancing. "You want to imprison me so that I won't continue to make trouble and embarrass myself, right? But you don't do it outside, and you don't want to affect his reputation. So, this is my father's personal instruction? Let's see if there is a chance to meet alone. Let me rest first." Wu Yu sneered. Young master seems to be smarter than before. This is of course the order of the prison master. I am just following the order. Young master, please don't be angry. Of course, the prison master has good intentions. Young master should also reflect on it and don't let the prison master down. Dongshen Ghost King raised his eyebrows and said lightly. "Bullshit, this is nothing more than resentment that I embarrassed him, and he wants to secretly confine me so that he can successfully get the 10th grade Immortal King seal for my sister. This is really fair. Tisk tisk, it's hard to figure out, what is father trying to do?" Wu Yu laughed. Dongshen Ghost King's face turned cold, and he said, "Young master, you dare to talk like that, aren't you worried that I will tell the prison master?" "What did I say? It's all true, there's nothing to say. You are still too young, no wonder the prison master hates you. Come on, I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with you. I'll give you one last chance. Do you come in obediently, or do I catch you in? If I do it, you won't have any wine and beauties to enjoy. I accidentally finished writing it yesterday and forgot to upload it, so I'll add another chapter today to apologize." Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1442. Although Wu Yu is not the white-eyed Ghost King, he is using his identity after all. After all, he is the biological son of the Will Ghost King, but he is treated like this. Wu Yu can only say that Bai Mao must have been such a jerk to be hated like this. Of course, Wu Yu can't care so much, because the Dongshen Ghost King of the 3rd level of the Taixu Ghost Realm has already attacked him. Wu Yu knows that no matter how powerful he is, he can only fight against the Ghost King of the 1st level. This Ghost King of the 3rd level can absolutely crush even the Emperor Xuanhuan and others. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Wu Yu has seen him take action before, in Bai Mao's memory, such as the Ghost King of 10,000 Bones and the Ghost King of Purple Soul. 7 or 8 of the same level joined forces, and all were defeated by the Ghost King of Dongshen one by one. Its Taixu artifact, named Eternal Killing City, is dark and gloomy, full of murderous aura. As far as Wu Yu knows, there are countless ghosts and gods imprisoned in it, refined for thousands of years, and refined into killing souls, controlled by it, and killed for life. At this time, the Eternal Killing City was covering Wu Yu's head. Thousands of murderous auras condensed into swords and hung above his head, covering Wu Yu. This Ghost King level existence naturally crushed Wu Yu. Looking at his ruthless attack, he didn't feel like he was facing a young master at all. "You'd better be obedient, otherwise you will suffer, idiot." The Ghost King of Dongshen sneered with disdain, and the eternal killing city turned over. Like the Wanjianlong city, all the buildings turned into huge swords. The difference is that the sword is surrounded by black air, and the blood-red evil spirit is like a poisonous snake, wandering around, waiting for the sword to tear Wu Yu's body, and then they will rush into Wu Yu's body, making Wu Yu live a life worse than death. Being suppressed by this ancient killing city for the first time, Wu Yu really felt a sense of fear. This was the terrifying crushing brought to him by the opponent's huge realm and power. Moreover, this Taixu artifact is too murderous, which is really amazing. It is more than one level higher than Wu Yu's Tianhuang blood flag. He is ready to take a little risk in front of the opponent and use the same escape skill as the Chifeng Immortal Lord to leave. This is a certain possibility, and the opponent will be suspicious, but Wu Yu has no choice. Otherwise, he will be imprisoned, and there is no need to play. But at this moment, he has another discovery. This eternal killing city does pose a threat to Wu Yu, and it looks particularly powerful. But he never expected that he found that it seemed to be a little bit worse. When he glanced at it with his fiery eyes, he couldn't see it clearly at the first moment, but if he looked carefully, he could see that it seemed that the entire Storm Silver Blade Ball had a certain degree of suppression on the Dongshen Ghost King. As a result, his strength seemed to be unable to be fully exerted. Wu Yu was somewhat delighted. Sure enough, this epic god formation still suppresses ghosts and gods, preventing them from fully displaying their strength. Of course, it may also be a suppression of those above the Taixu ghost realm. It is possible that Emperor Xianyang and others can also move freely. The Ghost Kings themselves are a group of people who exceed the standard in this competition. They have huge advantages, which leads to unfair competition. That's why it is normal if they are restricted and cannot fully display their strength. You seem to have become much weaker. Wu Yu looked at the eternal killing city that was about to descend on his head, his face unchanged. Your eyes are quite poisonous, you can even see this, but it's still enough to deal with you, a bastard Dongshen Ghost King sneered disdainfully. After confirming that the opponent's strength had decreased, Wu Yu was not in a hurry to escape. He wanted to try. In such a storm silver blade ball, is it possible for him to take down the top existence of the level of Dongshen Ghost King? If he can, he will have a greater advantage. He responded to the Dongshen Ghost King with the heavenly blood flag in his hand. His strength was not affected at all. Although the sky was full of silver blades, the opponent was still in such an environment. The eternal killing city came to suppress him. He rolled up the heavenly blood flag to form a blood-colored spear. On the support of his majestic physical strength, he suddenly pierced upwards. For a moment, the bloody heavenly rules of the heavenly blood flag condensed into a sharp edge, rushing up into the sky, and in an instant it pierced into the eternal killing city. Dang! With a loud bang, everything was shaking. The collision and friction of the two great Taixu artifacts formed a harsh sound. I don't know how far it can penetrate. Wu Yu tried it out. Although his Tianhuang blood flag failed to penetrate the opponent's eternal killing city, it completely dissolved the opponent's suppression and overturned the eternal killing city. The eternal killing city turned over several times before falling back in front of Dongshen Ghost King. How is it possible? Dongshen Ghost King's eyes bulged and almost fell out. He naturally didn't expect that even with the Storm Silver Blade Ball suppressing him all the time, so that he could only show a part of his power, there would be a day when the White-Eyed Ghost King could block his attack. It seems that Uncle Dongshen has spent his energy on other things recently. Why is he so weak? It's far from enough to rely on this strength to catch me. Is it because he is too old and too weak? Are those ants in your house resentful? Do you need your nephew to do it for you? Wu Yu held the Tianhuang blood flag and let the flag sway in the wind, saying meanly. The more he did this, the less people could doubt his identity. Dongshen Ghost King almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He was so angry that he almost killed Wu Yu. These words proved the shamelessness of White-Eyed Ghost King, but he actually said it. This is no longer a matter of courage, but a matter of losing reason and going crazy. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. If your father hears this, you will not see a living creature in the next 100,000 years. Dongshen Ghost King's eyes were also full of anger. Uncle Dongshen, don't brag. I'm standing here. Can you deal with me? If you weren't in here, I could make you kneel down and beg for mercy in one breath. Dongshen Ghost King was furious. Your body is weak, but your bragging skills have increased. Wu Yu pouted. Looking for death, being humiliated by a junior like this, he really couldn't stand it anymore. At this moment, he suddenly attacked and controlled the Eternal Killing City again. At the same time, he was also using his magical powers. It can be seen that his body is changing rapidly. 3 colors of flames burned down from the top of his head, covering his whole body. It looks like he has been burned to charcoal, but it is even more terrifying, like a ghost made of lava. Wu Yu had no fear on his face. In fact, he was using the law of heaven and earth invisibly. This time, the law of heaven and earth was upgraded to a new realm. His control became more and more perfect, especially the way of size matured, which allowed him to have a lot of changes in the control of this magical power. For example, now, when Wu Yu used the law of heaven and earth to increase his physical strength to the most terrifying level, the corresponding speed was reduced, but his body size could choose not to increase, and it did not need to be hundreds of feet. He could even maintain the size of an ordinary person, which was just that he could not become smaller. Only by increasing the speed and weakening the physical strength can the body become smaller. Of course, it can also remain the same. This shows that he is more familiar with the fundamentals of the law of heaven and earth. The fundamentals of this magical power are not the changes in the size of the body, but the changes in the size of strength and speed. Although the physical body seems to have not changed much now, in fact, the strength of the physical body has been improved to a terrifying level. The majestic power of the diamond world is more turbulent, and the explosions have doubled, and it has the overwhelming momentum to suppress the opponent. Through the test, Wu Yu has confirmed that the strength that the opponent can show now is about the same as the Purple Soul Ghost King and others. This is an opportunity. Where is the opportunity to suppress the third level of the Taixi Ghost realm? The key is that at this time, the opponent did not want Wu Yu to escape. Wu Yu had just performed the law of heaven and earth, and he had already killed him again. With the Taixu artifact, he was afraid that he could show 4 kinds of heavenly rules. Boom! In the first moment, a punch suddenly hit his head. With a punch, black flames rushed out. Wherever it went, even those silver blades were turned into black frost. Another slight shock, all turned into powder, and part of the Kinkan space was burning. This is one of the heavenly rules, the cold fire heavenly rules. This move was filled with anger, and it was not just to imprison Wu Yu. To use such heavenly rules, it was naturally to teach Wu Yu a lesson, to make him live a life worse than death. He dared to do this, and it was obvious that the Will Ghost King had basically given up on the White-Eyed Ghost King. At this time, Wu Yu's physical strength had exploded to the limit, and the opponent rushed up at this time, undoubtedly hitting the muzzle of the gun. Book of Violence. The explosive and extreme power, coupled with Wu Yu's Book of Violence, doubled the power in his body again, reaching an unprecedented and terrifying level that he himself had not expected. At this time, his whole body was filled with uncontrollable superpower, and at this time, the somersault cloud had already merged into his body. Yin Yun Yin. He formed seals with both hands, and his movements were fast. The shadows of his hands changed, and finally gathered on the palm of his right hand. Suddenly, he pushed his palm forward, and the forearm and palm part seemed to have completely disappeared. In fact, it was this palm that entered the void, and then Wu Yu gathered all his strength, suddenly vibrated, and played the Anyun seal in its strongest state. In an instant, the void vibrated and shattered. At this time, the Ghost King Dongshen had just killed in front of Wu Yu and entered the range of the void vibration. Buzz. For a moment, a large area of space in front of Wu Yu was torn from the inside, and a large area of space fell into a black collapse, and the Ghost King Dongshen was in it. You are not him. The Ghost King Dongshen originally thought that it was just a broken space and disdained it, but suddenly, everything was shattered, and that kind of fatal threat suddenly came. It was at this time that he looked at Wu Yu. Wu Yu's completely different eyes and indifferent attitude suddenly made him tremble all over. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1443. The Dongshen Ghost King, fearing that in the last moment of despair, with a flash of his mind, he guessed that Wu Yu was not the white-eyed Ghost King. Of course, this could not change the result. Wu Yu's face was indifferent, and with the terrifying power of his palm, he created the cloud seal. Dongshen Ghost King was trapped in that space. When he shouted the last word the void shook. Broken, his body was torn apart in an instant. Wu Yu never thought at first that he could kill the third-level Ghost King in Taigzi Ghost Realm so quickly. This is entirely due to the suppression of the Storm Silver Blade Ball, and of course the progress of Fa Tian Xiangdi and Somersault Cloud. Especially the Yun Seal, its lethality is truly terrifying. In the end, the face of Dongshen Ghost King was indeed quite wonderful. He was desperate, unwilling, angry, and struggling. However, under the power of the Anyun seal, he was suppressed and could not change his fate of dying in battle. The more Wu Yu's identity is discovered, the less Wu Yu can keep him. At the last moment, Wu Yu showed him the appearance of the Qingxian Immortal Lord, and sure enough, when he left, his expression was even richer. Of course, the next moment was gone. At this time, Wu Yu recovered his palm, and everything that was destroyed in the shattered void was brought to his eyes. The three heavenly rules could make his Tao and comprehension skyrocket again, and deliver them to the food in front of him. As a giant sky-swallowing beast, of course he would directly devour and strengthen himself. In the blink of an eye, he devoured his opponent. This process was actually very hidden. Even if someone saw it, they would only think that Wu Yu was practicing with the ghosts and spirits of ghosts and gods. After all, there are many ghosts and gods who use ghosts and the physical body to practice. Create all kinds of evil ghosts and innocent souls. I have never seen a giant sky-swallowing beast. How could I exaggerate to think that there is such a strange beast that can swallow, digest and strengthen itself? The reason why I say this is because at the last moment of the battle, Wu Yu found someone around him being attracted. She had clearly seen the process of Wu Yu killing the Dongshen Ghost King, and now she was behind Wu Yu. Of course, the moment Wu Yu's face changed into the Qingxian Immortal Lord, she was also behind Wu Yu, so naturally she couldn't see it. After the void was shattered, it could not be healed. If it stayed here for a long time, Wu Yu digested it a little. His white eyes were cold and ruthless. He turned around and said, "What interest does the young palace master have in me? Otherwise, why would he look so excited?" Wu Yu was not worried, because as an outsider, it was impossible for her to understand what Dongshen Ghost King meant by saying "you are not him," and she might even think it was an unfinished sentence. When Wu Yu turned around, he saw in the depths of the storm in front of him, standing a top beauty with purple hair and purple eyes, an elegant and noble temperament, and a cold face. She was also a beauty that Nanshan Wanjiao coveted. In the hell Zhong is also as stunningly beautiful as a supreme being, with her snow-skinned jade skin, exquisite figure, bright eyes, and white teeth, all seem to be shining with light. After all, she is the daughter of the palace master of Qin Shaliangshi sect, and she is different from the daughter of the heavenly king of controllers. The demeanor of ghosts and gods is mysterious and cold. In this hell of 10,000 layers, there are countless people who want to be its Taoist companions. This is the Qin Yuling. Qin Yuling saw that Wu Yu actually killed his own ghost king. There was too much surprise in her eyes at this time. She lightly opened her lavender lips and said, "I defeated your sister, and I knew that you have a talent comparable to the Ghost King. The combat power, the power of the supernatural power just now is indeed terrifying, it can actually kill such a being. It seems that the people in this starry sky hell, including your father, have underestimated you. You seem to be careless, but in fact, you have some ability to bear the humiliation." Wu Yu snorted and said with a smile, "I wonder if this kind of performance can win the heart of the young palace master." Qin Yuling actually guessed wrong. Wu Yu didn't bear the humiliation, he just changed to a different person. Of course, if she thought like this, Wu Yu would become very courageous and a person worthy of admiration, so her attitude was pretty good. Even if Wu Yu meant to tease, she still smiled lightly and said, "Don't do that. You're pretending, you're not your true self. Looking at your fight, I quite admire you. This is definitely a misunderstanding, the white-eyed Ghost King is definitely not good at nature." After seeing Wu Yu's performance and not knowing much about him, she actually made up a story in her head. Wu Yu was also dumbfounded. Fortunately, the other party did not discover his real secret, but she saw the murder process, so she still couldn't mess with it. So Wu Yu asked, "Young palace master, if nothing happens, can I leave first?" Qin Yulian's eyes were sly and he said, "Didn't you tease me just now and you are leaving now? Sure enough, your previous behavior was all disguised. But you can't leave." Wu Yu asked in astonishment, "Why can't you leave? What other orders do you have?" Qin Yuling said, "I think you are quite capable and interesting. Of course, you won't have a chance to get the 10th grade Immortal King seal. It just so happens that I lack helpers around me. If you can help me, let me get the 10th grade Immortal King seal. As for the Immortal King's seal, your reward is indispensable. It depends on your merits. If you have made great achievements, the 8th grade Immortal King seal will be fine." It turned out that he valued Wu Yu's ability. Indeed, Wu Yugong was able to kill Dongshen Ghost King, which shows that in the Storm Silver Blade Ball, his ability is stronger than Dongshen Ghost King. He is a powerful helper, but Qin Yuling has no one to help her for the time being. Even if the Ghost King prison master is on her side, he cannot directly help her. After all, he still has to abide by the rules of the game. Of course, Wu Yu happened to be outside the rules of the game, and the support of a realm lord and god realm did not count as breaking the rules. Wu Yu could understand what she meant. "What if I refuse?" "I don't want to, but your ability is very important to me. If you refuse, I can only inadvertently tell the Starry Sky Prison Lord what I just saw." Qin Yuling carried the with both hands and a playful smile in her eyes, she knew what Wu Yu would choose. After all, who wouldn't want to stay with a great beauty? This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Okay, don't shirk it. Even if you win the 10th grade Immortal King seal, your father will snatch it away and give it to your sister. If the treasure is in my hands, will he still dare to take it away? Qin Yuling said again. Wu Yu was also thinking. If she doesn't support her, she may not necessarily file a complaint, but if she does, the Chakravartin Ghost King will not let her go, and it will be inconvenient for her to stay in the Storm Silver Blade Ball for a long time. At present, everyone may be walking around aimlessly. With her, she is not bad at ability, and maybe the possibility is higher. She considers herself to be of noble status, thinks that Wu Yu is willing to work for her, and also thinks that Wu Yu has no qualifications to compete at all, so she can rest assured that Wu Yu will still have a chance. Anyway, after using the identity of White-Eyed Ghost Lord this time, should not be used anymore. Anyway, there's no downside, and with her support, now even if he encounters the Chakravartin Ghost King, he can't suppress and confine himself. Therefore, he reacted quickly and responded quickly, then I would rather be respectful than obey your orders. Being able to be next to a person like the young palace master is a blessing I have cultivated in several lifetimes. I have never seen such a beauty in my life. After the second one, if the young palace master had not been of high status and we, the toads, could not match him, I would have been desperate and offended. You have offended me. In terms of courage, you are really the most courageous I have ever seen. Qin Yuling was not angry. She knew her own charm, and using this to attract Wu Yu to work for him was also one of the methods. At least she felt that, Wu Yu can endure humiliation, hide his strength, and help a lot. He is definitely a good helper. Moreover, even the prison master did not dare to offend her, so how could a mere white-eyed ghost king be so bold as to face Qin Sha, the master of Zongtian Palace? Wu Yu, as the white-eyed ghost king who bears humiliation and bears the burden, followed behind her. No kidding, what do you know and discover about this storm silver blade ball? Qin Yuling asked seriously. I don't know. Anyway, let's just wander around now. Nothing will change for the time being. I remember you scored the 1,000 colors thunder ball, please tell me about the situation there. Wu Yu told the truth. It was well known that the wheel-winning Ghost King had sealed the 10,000 colors thunder ball for a long time, and it was impossible for Wu Yu to say that he had not entered it. It's a completely different era divine array. This place is more like a maze. However, there must be clues. I guess that 9 color beads can also appear here. I really don't know where the 3 immortal monarchs are hiding. For now, you must get the 9 color beads to have a chance to compete. She thought clearly. Hey. Wu Yu, with his true character of a white-eyed ghost king, boldly looked at the beauty beside him from time to time. Stop looking, be careful to dig out your eyeballs. I want you to follow me, but I still value your ability. Don't cross the line and think that there is any possibility for us. Qin Yuling annoyed him and scolded him. 2 sentences. I know, Wu Yu became more restrained. It seems that it is really difficult for people with their status to look down on the white-eyed ghost king, let alone Wu Yu himself who has no background at all. They wandered around and searched for several days. They met some people from a distance and hurriedly avoided them. They didn't find anything for the time being, and they didn't hear of others finding anything. At present, everyone was relatively harmonious and there were no fights. Why haven't I found it yet? Qin Yuling was a little annoyed. They continued to move forward, and suddenly one day, someone behind them called out to them, "White eyes." Wu Yu turned around and found that it was the wheel-turning Ghost King and a Ghost King beside him. He was also the brother of the wheel-turning Ghost King and Beimu's uncle, named Xinjiao Ghost King. His strength was the 3rd level of the Taixi Ghost realm. Dongshen Ghost King is slightly stronger. He called out to Wu Yu in a fierce tone, and then immediately chased after him, intending to catch Wu Yu. However, at this time, Qin Yuling also looked back, shocking the wheel-turning Ghost King. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1444. The wheel-turning Ghost King thought he had just seen his son, the white-eyed Ghost King, and was about to capture him. However, he never expected that there would be a character beside Wu Yu that he could not have expected, Qin Yuling. As I write this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. It's almost like a white swan standing next to a toad. It's really incredible for such a combination to take risks in this place. Even if the wheel-turning Ghost King is the lord of the Starry Sky Prison, he would not dare to make a mistake in front of this Qin Yuling. He quickly said respectfully, "I didn't expect the young palace master to be here. I just scolded Quan Zi loudly. It was very offensive. Please forgive me." Qin Yuling looked coldly and said, "Watch it next time." Yes, yes, the wheel-turning Ghost King was afraid of his identity. Even if the other party was a junior and was taught a lesson, he could only accept it. Then he looked at Wu Yu and said, "Don't come here yet. Who asked you to disturb the young palace mistress? Don't embarrass yourself everywhere." Looking at his posture, it seemed that Wu Yu was his ugly thing. If he left it outside, he would feel disgusted and rude to others. The wheel-turning Ghost King had a pair of black and white eyes, glaring condescendingly at Wu Yu with majesty. That attitude made him scold him as if he were a puppy. Wu Yu was a little unhappy. Although he was not the white-eyed Ghost King, after all, the one who was scolded, looked down upon, and treated unfairly was himself now. Judging from the attitude of this wheel-turning Ghost King, if he were to take him away, he would not be able to feel comfortable. Now that he is here, he doesn't need Bai Mu's identity so much. It doesn't matter even if his secret is revealed. He responded, "This is not okay. I am working for the young palace master now. I am considered the young palace master, the Lord's man. Even though you are my father, you can't just let me go, right?" The wheel runner Ghost King's eyes were a little dull. He didn't expect that Wu Yu would dare to say such a thing, and it would be like this. After a moment of daze, he became furious again and said, "You, don't talk nonsense. Give it to me now, come here." Judging from his posture, he was afraid that if Wu Yu still spoke harshly, he would take action directly. Anyway, it wouldn't be too difficult for him to capture Wu Yu. Why is the Starry Sky prisoner so rude to his own child? He is right. I value his ability. He is working for me now. Starry Sky prisoner cannot just take my people away casually. Just when the wheel runner Ghost King was the most angry, Qin Yuling suddenly said this, making the wheel runner Ghost King completely stunned. Even the Xinjiao Ghost King beside him said, "Young palace master, did you say something wrong? We all know, what ability can he have?" "Of course that's right. You all underestimated him." Qin Yuling smiled and looked at Wu Yu. At least in terms of ability, she was very satisfied. The look in her eyes made the wheel-wandering Ghost King and the others even more confused. They couldn't understand it at all. It was clear to them what the white-eyed Ghost King was capable of. "Did you hear that? I won't accompany you anymore." Wu Yu, as Bai Mu, was a little more arrogant. Anyway, it seems that he has fallen out with the wheel-turning Ghost King and has begun to have a certain amount of capital. This is reasonable. In Qin Yuling's eyes, he is a rebellious heir who endures humiliation and bears the burden. Presumptuous, Xinjiao Ghost King couldn't stand it anymore and scolded him, but when he saw Qin Yuling frowning slightly, he quickly lowered his voice. "Let's go." Qin Yuling was too lazy to pay attention to them. He said to Wu Yu, then turned and left. Wu Yu smiled slightly at the wheel-turning Ghost King and said, "In that case, let's part ways. I wish you can find the 10th grade Immortal King seal for your daughter as soon as possible." After saying that, he turned around gracefully, leaving behind the furious yet suppressed gaze of the wheel-wheeling Ghost King. "White eyes. The Dongshen Ghost King told me that he had found you before, but why didn't he hear any more?" After a while, suddenly, the voice of the wheel-turning Ghost King came from behind. It seems that when Dongshen Ghost King saw Wu Yu, he first told Wheel Runner Ghost King, but then he was instantly killed by Wu Yu and no news came out. "How do I know? I've never seen him. How could he see me?" Wu Yu replied lazily. No matter how imaginative the wheel-turning Ghost King was, he would never have imagined that Wu Yu could kill the Dongshen Ghost King. They quickly walked away, and the Chakravartin King was so angry that he wanted to tear apart the surrounding storm. It's strange. Bai Mu has changed so much in the past 10 years. He's really brave. Even you dare to contradict him. Xinjiao Ghost King found it incredible. There are weird things, maybe because of some good fortune. Now his bones are hard. He can be valued by Qin Yuling, and his abilities have also increased. If he had realized this earlier, I wouldn't look down on him. It's too late now. The wheel-turning Ghost King with gloomy eyes, looking at Wu Yu's back as he left, he knew that the rift between father and son was irreparable. Now that Wu Yu has Qin Yuling's support, he is even more arrogant. He is still too young. Qin Yuling will always leave. If he dares to contradict you, there will be no good consequences in the future. I just don't know what kind of sweet words he can use to make Qin Yuling look at him with admiration based on his ability. There are still many things that they don't understand. At this moment, something unexpectedly changed. Both Wu Yu and the wheel-turning Ghost King felt it instantly. Wu Yu and Qin Yuling turned around suddenly, and the two wheel-runner Ghost Kings, who were about to leave, were also attracted at this time. A sound different from that of a silver blade flying through the air. The sound was mellow and mysterious, with a strange and leisurely feeling. At their level, they were quite sensitive to such different sounds. When Wu Yu turned around, his eyes were filled with surprise. What they saw was a 9-color bead, shining with light, passing leisurely between the two teams. The speed didn't seem very fast, but in the blink of an eye, he had reached a long distance. This chapter is not over. Please click on the next page to continue reading. All four of them knew what it was, especially Wu Yu. He still has one on him now. Chase. Basically, it goes without saying that the four of them launched their strongest speed at the first opportunity. Of course, Qin Yuling was not weak, but Wu Yu was a little surprised by the wheel-runner Ghost King. In the past, neither he nor Qin Yuling had the slightest chance to fight against the wheel-runner Ghost King, but now, it can be seen that it turns out that these two Ghost Kings are subject to huge restrictions. The part of their strength that can be displayed is not high, so in terms of speed, they may not be as fast as Wu Yu. Of course, because they set off a little earlier, they had a slight advantage, and the 9-colored beads were a little closer to them. "This is mine." Qin Yuling's eyes sparkled, and she scolded her while chasing. This is what she warned the wheel-turning Ghost King and the others. If they appear in front of her, she will definitely win. The wheel-turning Ghost King was extremely polite to her before, but now that the treasure is right in front of him, he turns a deaf ear to Qin Yuling's scolding. It's like he didn't hear it. Faced with this kind of treasure, it is normal for the wheel-runner Ghost King to fall out, and he also has a way out. If he gets the treasure, he will not be able to hold on anymore, so he can just give it to Qin Yuling secretly, which can still be exchanged for rewards. The key now is to snatch it, only then can we have that capital. Of course, Wu Yu could actually surpass Qin Yuling if he used some changes in his magic skills and set off at the same time. Because they were chasing the 9-colored beads in the same direction, the four people soon gradually merged together. Qin Yuling felt a little anxious and said softly, "Star Prison Lord, help me get this treasure. My mother is definitely very capable." Reward. The Chakravartin King still pretended not to hear, and with a burst of speed, the four of them were now very close to the 9-colored beads. Starry Sky Prison Lord, Qin Yuling was a little angry. She overestimated her authority. Not only did the wheel-turning Ghost King not give way at this time, but he directly asked the Xinjiao Ghost King next to him to intercept Wu Yu and the others. Of course, the main purpose was to intercept Qin Yuling. White eyes. When Qin Yuling saw that the Xinjiao Ghost King was coming to kill him, he naturally hurriedly wanted Wu Yu to stop him. She couldn't wait any longer. She was already slightly behind the wheel-turning Ghost King. If the other party got there first, it would be very difficult. It's difficult to get it into your own hands. She wanted Wu Yu to stop Xinjiao Ghost King, but Xinjiao Ghost King attacked her. Therefore, at this time, Wu Yu didn't seem to understand what she meant, and directly bypassed Xinjiao Ghost King, and then accelerated even faster, aiming. It turned out to be the Chakravartin Ghost King and the 9-colored bead. Instead, it was Qin Yuling who was intercepted by the Xinjiao Ghost King. It would be difficult to escape in a short time. This made Qin Yuling confused. It felt like Wu Yu was the main one, and her status was the same as that of Xinjiao Ghost King. She was used to intercept others. Now it was equivalent to clearing the space for Wu Yu and letting Wu Yu chase. That's the 9 colored beads. No matter who you are. You are dead, Qin Yuling said coldly while fighting to suppress the Xinjiao Ghost King. This really frightened the Xinjiao Ghost King and he could only retreat. However, after this slight delay, it's no longer possible to catch up. Now it's Wu Yu and the wheel-turning Ghost King who are competing. Impossible. When Xinjiao Ghost King turned around and saw Wu Yu's terrifying speed, he shouted out for a moment, with a look of horror on his face. Although they were suppressed, Wu Yu seemed to be stronger than Qin Yuling now. What's going on if you want a faster speed? Of course, the wheel-turning Ghost King took the lead, and Wu Yu caught up from behind. No matter how fast he was still a little behind. It seemed that the wheel-turning Ghost King was about to take control of the 9 color beads. The wheel-turning Ghost King must be excited now, because he knows without seeing that the person chasing after him is not Qin Yuling, but his son, the white-eyed Ghost King. In his world, the white-eyed Ghost King is far from being able to and his ability and courage to really take action. It's mine, the wheel-turning Ghost King smiled and stretched out his hand to control the 9 color beads. On top of him, Wu Yu quickly approached, but still failed to catch up with the opponent, and the erratic trajectory of the 9 colored beads, which could not be grasped temporarily using the somersault cloud's transformation, seemed to be about to succeed, so the wheel-turning Ghost King was about to succeed. The only thing he can do is to interfere with the wheel-turning Ghost King. Otherwise, if it falls into his hands, it will be difficult to get out. Boom! Wu Yu punched behind him, and the blood wasteland rules condensed into it, forming a blood mist that filled the sky and rushed towards the wheel-turning Ghost King. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1445. Perhaps if it were outside, such an attack would not pose any threat to the wheel-turning Ghost King. But in this storm silver blade ball, this is more troublesome. The key is that the wheel-turning Ghost King never expected that just before he succeeded, his own son would catch up and give him a fierce attack. The meaning is different. Such an attack would have a greater impact on the heart of the Chakravartin king than the power of the attack itself. Moreover, Wu Yu's punch was quite powerful. The wheel-turning Ghost King wanted to ignore it and hold on to grab the 9 color beads first, but he did not expect that he still underestimated Wu Yu. This punch directly knocked Wu Yu away, who had no resistance at all, and made him hurriedly fight with Wu Yu. The 9 colored beads almost passed by. The blood-desolate heavenly rules rushed into his body, causing his flesh and blood to rot. Of course, what is even more unbearable is the psychological impact. At this moment, he had just recovered and looked at Wu Yu with wide eyes, and his whole body was about to explode. You took action against me? You beast, the wheel-turning Ghost King was so angry. He didn't have time to deal with Wu Yu yet, but when he looked back for the 9 color bead, the treasure had already disappeared in just this moment. Wu Yu also took action once and lost the whereabouts of the 9 colored beads. Looking around now, there is basically no trace. If you want to chase it, it is obviously impossible. However, at least the king of Chakravartin didn't get it either. At that moment just now, he was really close to getting it. No one has gotten it now, but there will still be some opportunities in the future. He was only a little bit close to getting the treasure, but he actually let his son destroy it. I am afraid that not many people have experienced this kind of mood of the wheel-turning Ghost King. Now he feels that he even wants to kill Wu Yu. Go to hell, he slapped Wu Yu directly on the forehead, with the power of the heavenly rules contained in it. Wu Yu had long known that he would kill, so the first moment he reacted, he ran back. To be honest, no matter how suppressed the wheel-turning Ghost King was, he would definitely not be his opponent. Young Palace Master, I'm sorry that I couldn't get the treasure for you, but I also stopped him." Wu Yu came to Qin Yuling. He knew that Qin Yuling would be angry. After all, Wu Yu didn't stop him for her. Instead, Xinjiao Ghost King took action privately. But at this time, it seems that the wheel-turning Ghost King is about to kill his own son. Wu Yu's words showed that he was chasing Qin Yuling just now. There is no need to think about whether it is true or not, the key is the result. The result is that Wu Yu interfered with the Wheel Runner Ghost King, causing the Wheel Runner Ghost King to fail to get the 9 color beads. Qin Yuling knew that even if he chased after him, he might not be able to interfere. Although I was lucky to meet this treasure this time, with the Chakravartin Ghost King by my side, I was lucky enough not to be snatched away by him. Therefore, Qin Yuling reacted very quickly. As soon as Wu Yu came to ask for help, she appeared directly in front of Wu Yu, opening her arms to block him. If the wheel-turning Ghost King wanted to deal with Wu Yu, he would have to hurt her. For any prison master, they must be measured when facing these descendants of the Emperor Demon. It's okay to compete for treasures, but it's certainly not okay to specifically attack these descendants of the Emperor Demon. After all, even if it is a competitive treasure, it is the rule of the game. It can be said that if he attacks like this, if he hurts Qin Yuling, a few lives of the Wheel Runner Ghost King will not be enough to pay him back. So no matter how angry he was, he had to stop immediately when he saw Qin Yuling. "Young Palace Master, I am teaching my son a lesson, and please don't stop him. If I accidentally hurt you, I cannot bear the responsibility." The wheel-turning Ghost King lowered his voice to control the rage in his heart. Qin Yuling said calmly, "I have already said that Bai Mao is working for me now. He is working hard for me. Of course I have to protect him. If you dare to touch him, why don't you try touching me first?" When the wheel-turning Ghost King heard this, he was so angry that his head almost exploded. However, Wu Yu was still behind Qin Yuling with a vengeful smile on his face, which made him want to tear his son alive. "Father, please don't be obedient to me. The young palace master is so kind to me, so naturally I have to work hard for her. Everyone is his own master, so please understand," Wu Yu said carelessly. The Wheel Runner Ghost King took a deep breath. At this time, the Ghost King Xinjiao also came forward and comforted him a few words. The Wheel Runner Ghost King suppressed his anger and had no impulse to attack Qin Yuling. However, his eyes had changed. He became particularly indifferent and said, "Unless you can leave the starry hell in time and hide forever after this incident is over, think about the outcome. As a ghost, you must always have a long-term vision, don't just look at the present." This sentence has a profound meaning, and it actually also means a threat. If Wu Yu is really Bai Mu, he must be wary of his father and not be unscrupulous. But the key is that he is not, so he does not have to worry at all. Facing the threat of the wheel-turning Ghost King, he laughed. "Prison Master, let's go." Xinjiao Ghost King knew that the longer he stayed here, he would definitely drive Wu Yu crazy, so they might as well leave as soon as possible. They obviously felt that the white eyes were completely different. "Remember?" Wheel Runner Ghost King glanced at him again, meaningfully, then snorted, turned around, and sped away with Xinjiao Ghost King. It seemed that they still wanted to continue chasing the 9 color beads. After they left, Wu Yu was smiling. Qin Yuling turned around and looked at Wu Yu coldly with his purple eyes. He raised his voice and said, "Bai Mu, don't think I will be grateful for what you just said. Warning. If you act like a master once, no matter whether the result is good or bad, I won't let you go. Do you understand? If I ask you to stop someone, you will stop them." Wu Yu put away his smile, nodded and said, "I understand, young palace master. Please rest assured that although the situation just now was special, it is indeed my fault that I did not follow your instructions. I promise you that it will never happen again next time." This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. In fact, Now that he has completely offended the Chakravartin Ghost King, he is not afraid that she will accuse him of killing the Dongshen Ghost King. He can leave at any time. However, he still values Qin Yuling's authority and follows her, at least no one else dares. If you attack yourself casually, then Bai Mao's identity can continue to be used for a while. Maybe you will have more chances to get the 9-color beads. Otherwise, no one will support you, and everyone will deal with you first. If you want to, it is difficult to get close to the 9-colored beads. However, you are so courageous. You even dare to offend your own father. I admire you. Qin Yuling's beautiful eyes flashed, slightly surprised. Wu Yu smiled and said, if I were the young palace master, I would know why I did this. It means that the wheel-turning Ghost King prefers purple eyes. Have you thought about what to do in the future? Wu Yu said hoarsely, of course I am following and working for the young palace master. For such a beautiful woman to be by the young palace master's side, she will at least be in a happy mood. As the saying goes, death under peonies, being a ghost is also romantic. You still dare to tease me? Qin Yuling glared at him, looking cute and cute. But she had other ideas and thought to herself, this guy is still too naive. I value your ability in this storm silver blade ball. After you leave here, return to my Qin Shaoyangshi Zone heavenly palace, a ghost lord, not even ghost king, what effect can it have on me? She is unlikely to let Wu Yu go to such a high-level place. If it were not for the rules of the game, Wu Yu would not even be qualified to talk to her. Of course she wouldn't say it, but said, it seems that there are 9 color beads here, and they are different from the thousands of colored thunder balls. They fly everywhere, but I don't know if there is a pattern. Otherwise, it can only be the same as before. Try your luck and wander around. Wu Yu was also thinking about this problem. He said, I think there should be some rules, otherwise it would not be called the Aragod Array. It would be a boring game for everyone to try their luck together. The Jade Emperor would not design such a boring game. Then what do you think the rules are? If I had known, I wouldn't be standing here. You bastard, think about it. Wu Yu faced this endless world of silver blade storms. In fact, he was indeed thinking, and even wondered, if he took out his 9-color beads, could he attract others? The only person here who owns the 9-color beads is me. Ancient Holmium God Lord and Moug don't even have a chance to come in. I wonder how many ghosts and gods are gathered outside now. Is it possible for them to break the 100,000 layer purgatory vortex formation and make it chaotic? Probably not, because the 100,000 layer purgatory whirlpool array is very small and does not have a force-bearing area as large as the Guardian array. No matter how many ghosts and gods gather near this vortex, there are very few who can take action. What Wu Yu didn't know was that there were many more ghosts and gods gathered outside the whirlpool than he had imagined. As time goes by, and another month has passed, the entire area around Kinyu Star has become densely populated with hundreds of millions of ghosts and gods, and they are still increasing, endlessly, and most of them are ghost kings. There are more people at this time. Maybe there is an immortal lord disguised as himself and mixed in among them. Although there are many people, it is relatively quiet. Compared with the chaos before, it is now more orderly. When you look through the dense crowd, you can see that outside the spherical 100,000 layer purgatory vortex formation, there is a huge immortal formation similar to a funnel. The tip of the funnel, like a sharp needle, was pointed at the 100,000 weight purgatory whirlpool array, and the funnel part was still expanding at this time. It seemed that there were many ghosts and gods arranging the array and expanding the funnel. The part of the funnel that holds things has expanded infinitely. As time goes by, today the part of the funnel is larger than the entire Kinyu star, and it is still growing. Now all the ghosts and gods are gathered here on this loophole. Everyone be quiet. When our star gathering 1000 Ju array is tripled in size, it will be able to include all of our power and gather it at one point. In this way, we can easily rely on everyone to join forces to tear apart these 10,000 layers of purgatory vortex formation. The person who spoke was a ghost king. In the center, dozens of ghost kings gathered. They all did not belong to the prison master and acted alone, so they were excluded. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1446. The Ghost Kings currently inside the Whirlpool Immortal Formation are basically subordinates of the prison lords. Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow circled M. Only the prison master is qualified to participate in this circle. In this way, many Ghost Kings are left and are excluded. Some of them come from the starry sky hell itself, and some come from the surrounding hells. Like countless Ghost Kings, they gathered outside and could not break the Whirlpool Fairy formation just by relying on their own strength. But the prison masters inside would never have thought that these Ghost Kings, whom they looked down upon, could actually change the star-gathering thousand-Jew array into such a huge funnel. The effectiveness of this star-gathering thousand-Jew array may not be useful in other places, but here, it has the power to gather all the power of hundreds of millions of Ghost Kings, and even hundreds of millions of Ghost Kings in the future, at one point. Break with point. So far, this 1,000-star gathering formation is already quite large. Don't worry, even if there is a treasure, they may not be able to get it so quickly. The wheel-turning Ghost King once possessed the 1,000 colors Thunder Ball countless times, but in the end he was still empty-handed. Continue to wait and let the star-gathering thousand-Jew formation be stable enough. Then we can work together to break through the Whirlpool Immortal formation. After breaking through, they can't have it all to themselves. Who can get the treasure inside depends on everyone's ability. We came to Starry Sky Hell for the 10th grade Immortal King Seal, not to be blocked out like this. Dark Ghost King, Enmu Ghost King, Poya Ghost King, etc. are all the leaders among this group of Ghost Kings. They arrange the fairy formation while calming the hearts of the crowd. Of course they want to go in, but they can't do it on their own. They must borrow the power of so many Ghost Kings. Of course, they must stabilize them and prevent them from messing around. In fact, all the Ghost Kings in the Whirlpool Immortal formation have seen it, but the prison masters are all fighting for it nervously. At this time, they have no time to care about the things outside, and they don't dare to come out. Once they come out, countless people are besieging them, and there is also a huge threat. It is dangerous. Basically, the more powerful the Ghost King is now, for example, the Ghost King of the 9 realms, the farther forward he stands. Thousands of Ghost Kings of the 9 realms join forces to attack, and even the Ghost King will be killed. We are not here to watch the fun. We also have a chance with the 10th grade Immortal King Seal. This is the voice of the ghosts. In fact, now that all the Ghost Kings are piled together, the size is several times larger than the Storm Silver Blade Ball. It is hard to imagine what will happen if they are all stuffed into the Storm Silver Blade Ball. Heavenly Court, Kongjin Heaven, Kongjin Holy Land. In the dense atmosphere of immortality, dozens of people are here. Time passes, and they do not cherish time, because they are all eternal immortal emperors. Because of eternal life, time is endless. They basically don't care much about the star map now. Those who stay on Taegzu Immortal Road are basically not the most outstanding group of people. However, they cannot see the situation in the starry sky hell. What conveyed the news to them were various messenger talismans. There are too many ghosts and gods gathered in the starry sky hell. Why do I feel that if this continues, it will be completely impossible for them to obtain the 10th grade Immortal King Seal, and the damage will be quite serious? Emperor Zhongtian Chongsheng frowned. From the current point of view, it is completely impossible for them to get involved in the second era divine formation Silver Blade Ball of Storm. My son can't get close to it at all, Southern Yinghuo Hua Zhenjun said. The ones who are more capable than his son Yinghuo Immortal Lord are the children of King Chiguo and the god of giant spirits. Lord Guhuo and Moug both got the 9-color beads, so they are not particularly anxious. King Chiguo said, my little girl has no choice but to be completely taken over by the Ghost King. Of course he wouldn't say where Moug was, after all, the father of Moug's rival was still next to him. The Holy Emperor Dongfang Chang'an said, you don't need to think too much. The Jade Emperor's arrangement naturally makes sense. If you continue to look at it, you will naturally understand. With so many people, most of them are just a little confused and have no hope for the future of the immortal lords in hell. But there was one person who was particularly anxious, and that was the original Phoenix Emperor. She had not spoken for a long time and her face was gloomy. She already knew about Huo Wuhuangjun's disappearance. On the Taixu Immortal Road, she has sent people to look for him, but they can't find the Snow Realm Immortal Lord. This means that the Snow Realm Immortal Lord has entered the Starry Sky Hell. Her people were originally going to enter the Starry Sky Hell, but Saint Emperor Dongfang Chang'an advised her not to go in. After all, the situation is a little different now. The Jade Emperor seems to value the test of the 10th grade Immortal King seal a little bit, and has banned other Ghost Kings. Entering, the Immortal King cannot enter. He is like playing a game, and naturally he doesn't like anyone to come in and break his rules of the game. Even just going in to find the Snowland Immortal Lord is a bit inappropriate. Therefore, although Emperor Xuanhuan was concerned about the safety of Lord Huo Wuhuang, he still could not let anyone enter the Star Hell, or even enter it himself. Of course, it would be a little embarrassing to go in and spread the news in person. After all, Taixu Immortal Road is a place that proves independence. No descendant of the Emperor Immortal does not need the Emperor Immortal to personally enter the rescue. If the daughter of Emperor Xuanhuan couldn't even handle this kind of thing, it would really make people laugh. Of course, Xuanhuangdi is also thinking of a way. She has many friends and some tracking skills. She can at least pass the news to the Starry Sky Hell and let Beimo Fengjun and others chase the Snowland Immortal Lord. As for the details of the Snow Domain Immortal Lord, the Eternal Phoenix clan had already found out clearly. In fact, the Yuanzhou Phoenix Emperor regretted a little. In another 5,000 years, the Fire Dance Phoenix Lord would be as powerful as Moug. At that time, there would be no problem for him to enter the Taixu Immortal Road. Now, there are indeed many people who are stronger than her. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Of course, most people dare not offend the Fire Dance Phoenix Lord due to their status, but they are most afraid of encountering one or two people like the Snow Domain Immortal Lord who don't know whether they live or die. So now, the Yuanzhou Phoenix Emperor wants both face and the safety of his daughter, and he is in a dilemma for a while. She naturally can't think of what the Fire Dance Phoenix Lord is like now. On the other hand, the Heavenly King Chiguo and the Giant Spirit God seem to have great confidence in their children, or they know some more secret news. And the Yuanzhou Phoenix Emperor no longer cares about the news of the 10th rank Immortal King seal. It's true that some are happy and some are sad. The disturbance about the 10th grade Immortal King seal has not only alarmed Chang'an Heaven and Starry Sky Hell, but has also alarmed the 8,000 heavenly palaces and 10,000 hells. Many people have begun to get ready for the next opening of the Taixu Immortal Road. Those who have not entered, of course, pray that no one will get the 10th grade Immortal King seal this time. As time passed, Wu Yu and Qin Yunling walked around, wandering around, looking for patterns, but they found that it was too difficult to find the so-called patterns. They have been here for nearly 2 months, and the only time they saw the 9-colored bead was when they met the Will Ghost King. There has been no discovery so far, maybe others have already got it. Qin Yunling was calm on the surface, but he must be a little anxious in his heart. Not necessarily Wu Yu could only say this. In fact, if someone has already got it, it is also normal. Good luck, of course, does not always favor him. During this period of time, I have not encountered the Will Ghost King again, but I have encountered many other prison lords and ghost kings. They are also wandering around in there. They belong to the same camp. After meeting, they gather in twos and threes. The team is getting stronger and stronger. However, no matter how strong they are, they still have to be respectful when they meet Qin Yunling. Even Wu Yu saw that several prison lords headed by Feng Yan prison lord have been confirmed to work for Qin Yunling. They have not found anything for the time being. Wu Yu saw that Qin Yunling actually never regarded these prison lords and ghost kings as competitors. Her competitors are the descendants of the emperor and demon. The two biggest ones are Xianyang Emperor and Bai Ke Ghost King. These are the descendants of the northern Yin Fengdu Emperor and Bai Vuchang. They are very powerful, and many prison lords secretly work for them. What she is most worried about is that they have already gained something. Emperor Xianyang had never met him, but this time Wu Yu and Qin Yunling suddenly met the Cretaceous Ghost King. The Cretaceous Ghost King was alone and wandering around. When Wu Yu saw him for the first time, he was basically sure that he should not have obtained the 9-color beads, and he might not even know that there were 9-color beads here, because his expression was a little impatient. Then he saw Qin Yunling. "Hey, isn't this the young palace master? I didn't expect to meet you here. It's really fate." "What's wrong?" The young palace master looks like he has gained something. "Did you get the treasure?" The Cretaceous Ghost King smiled and came very close to Qin Yunling. As for Wu Yu, he just glanced at him and didn't care much. Facing this pale guy, Qin Yunling didn't have a good face. She rolled her eyes and said, "It's none of your business. You have a bad temper. Be careful that my father will ask your mother for marriage." The Cretaceous Ghost King laughed. "Just you," Qin Yunling smiled disdainfully. She was too lazy to pay attention to him. She greeted Wu Yu and turned to leave. "Hey, I remember, aren't you the stupid son of the Will King? Why are you with Qin Yunling?" "I can't figure it out." The Cretaceous Ghost King stopped in front of them and looked at Wu Yu in surprise. "Do you want to know why?" Qin Yunling stared at him and asked. "I want to guess. Are you used to eating delicacies from mountains and seas, and want some home-cooked meals?" "Ha ha." The Cretaceous Ghost King laughed out loud. White eyes, Qin Yunling's face changed. "Huh. Come with me and let him see why you can follow me." Meaning, him. Happy Chinese Valentine's Day. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1447. Qin Yunling regards this Chalk Ghost King as one of his biggest competitors. "Even if we don't quarrel now, it's normal for us to quarrel in real competition." It happened that the White Ghost King had no helpers around him, but she had a big killer like Wu Yu on her side. If it can severely damage the opponent, that would be a great thing. Coupled with the fact that the other party's mouth is dirty, there is just a reason to take action. Dealing with the Chalk Ghost King was actually a way for Wu Yu to deal with a competitor. The opponent's status and power really made Wu Yu jealous. Moreover, he is not a real white-eyed man, so he has no worries at all. The White Ghost Lord has actually seen Wu Yu defeat Zimu quickly. In his opinion, Wu Yu's strength is close to his. However, he didn't think Wu Yu dared to do something to him, so he glared and said, "Don't meddle in other people's business. If you dare to touch me, I will kill all 9 of your tribes before the starry sky hell lifts the ban." After all, the identity of the White-Eyed Ghost King is here, and there is no way to hide it. With the power of Bai Vuchang behind him, comparable to Marshal Tianyuo, it would not be difficult to destroy a prison lord's clan. Even the prison master didn't dare to make a mistake in front of them and secretly submitted to them. He naturally looked down on Wu Yu from the bottom of his heart. If Qin Yunling really wants to take action, he is not afraid. For so many years, as a peer, he has long wanted to fight with this talented girl. It is just one-on-one. Fighting here is really exciting. Qin Yuling had no intention of stopping. She was very sure that Wu Yu was not afraid of death, so she took action directly. These two people were the top geniuses in the Hell Realm, Lord God Realm, and Wu Yu also wanted to meet them. Her strength is definitely not much different from Moug and the others. It's a waste of time to kill the mirror. Qin Yuling suddenly took out a brass mirror in his hand. The bronze mirror seemed simple and unremarkable, but now it changed in his hands and suddenly became huge. Wu Yu glanced at the mirror inadvertently. Suddenly, I felt dizzy, as if my soul had been sucked out. Moreover, his head was dizzy at that time, as if there were countless wronged souls shouting wrongfully accused and pouring out their misfortunes in his ears. If it were only a few people, this kind of voice would have no effect on Wu Yu. The key is that it is endless, like the fluttering wings of a fly. The torture the sound penetrates deep into the bone marrow and is truly terrifying. I have long heard that young palace master's mirror of death in vain is terrifying. When I saw it today, it was indeed extraordinary. However, if you want to capture me even though you are capable, you would be underestimating me, the White Ghost Lord chuckled. Naturally, he was not afraid of Qin Huling. When the mirror of vain death appeared, there was a pale chain in his hand. The chain seemed to be made of bones. It seemed very short, but could become endless at any time. In the blink of an eye, it was densely packed. The white chains entangled his body, filling all the vision in front of him. The white chains are like poisonous snakes, moving and changing, sometimes like a steel fortress, sometimes like countless poisonous snakes swallowing snake messages, and as terrifying as the eyes of the chalk ghost Lord Yin Hong. Wu Yu has also heard about his Tegzu artifact. Whether it is the Mirror of Death or the Wuvong Soul Hooking Lock, it is the top-level Tegzu artifact. It is almost a miniature of the magic weapon of their immortal Emperor Demon parents. Version. The confrontation between them is a bit like the confrontation between Bai Vuchang and Qin Shaoliangshi Zongtian Palace Master. Qin Yuling winked at Wu Yu, and without saying a word, he activated the heavenly rules of the Waste of Death Mirror. A dim yellow light shone out of the Waste of Death Mirror, and the light dispersed, forming a large area enveloped the Crake Ghost Lord. The divine power of the heavenly rules is gathered in this light. Of course, the Chalk Ghost King did not show weakness. Seeing that the other party was really attacking and being provoked, he was naturally angry. At this time, the Wuvong Soul Hooking Lock on his body moved quickly, forming a dense network of bones to protect him. Among them, there were a large number of chains, like spears, penetrating towards Qin Yuling. White eyes. This is when Qin Yuling needs Wu Yu's help. Wu Yu had been prepared for a long time. He suddenly appeared next to the Chalk Ghost King, holding the Tianhuang blood flag in his hand. Although the Tianhuang blood flag was far less powerful than their two treasures, Wu Yu's strength was not as good as theirs. Wow, at this moment, he had powerful physical strength, gathered all over his body. He was like a bloody ray of light, attacking the Chalk Ghost King from the side, sweeping the wild blood flag in his hand, and suddenly, a huge wave of blood surged towards the opposite side. In the blink of an eye, he rushed in front of the White Ghost Lord. On one side is Wu Yu's blood desolate heaven rule, on the other side is Qin Yuling's full death rule, on one side is the blood wave, and on the other side is the light, all of which are penetrating. The White Ghost Lord's Tegzu artifact cannot block them all. This caused the Creativity Ghost Lord to be attacked from both sides and suddenly faced tremendous pressure. Especially on Qin Yuling's side, the power of the feudal death mirror made him feel irritable. The feeling he was enduring now was much more uncomfortable than when Wu Yu took a look at the feudal death mirror. You're looking for death. What made the Chalk Ghost Lord angry was that Wu Yu actually attacked him without hesitation. This is like a tiger being provoked by a rabbit, and it becomes even more angry. He needs to disperse the Wu Yu soul-seducing chains to resist the two of them. The soul-seducing heavenly rule is also quite powerful. Now there are a large number of chains piercing through and seducing souls. It also makes Wu Yu immortal god unstable and hallucinating all the time. It was uncomfortable, but after all, this was not the opponent's complete fighting strength. Wu Yu only withstood a part of it. He could still resist, and at the same time, he waved the big flag and shook away the piercing Wu Yu soul hook one by one. Shock. On the other side, Qin Yunling saw the opportunity and the embarrassment of the Cretaceous Ghost King, and immediately increased the power. The mirror of the dead in vain shone a stronger light. In the light, countless ghosts floated, and many spiders with human faces could be seen crawling out of the mirror and crawling towards the Cretaceous Ghost King along the light. Wu Yu also strengthened his attack. He relied purely on the power of his body to charge forward, using the heavenly blood flag as a spear, and directly rushed forward, directly approaching the Cretaceous Ghost King. Bang bang bang. All the Wuvong soul-catching locks that approached were shaken away by Wu Yu. His fierce performance made the Cretaceous Ghost King's scalp numb. Seeing the two people's attacks continue to suppress him, the Cretaceous Ghost King was furious. I didn't expect this white-eyed Ghost King to be so powerful. What good fortune does he have? A person who looked down on could actually pose such a threat to him. The Cretaceous Ghost King's surging murderous heart almost burst. White-eyed Ghost King. Your whole family is dead. The face of the Cretaceous Ghost King was distorted, and his pale face looked extremely scary. His tongue flew out when he spoke, and it was a foot long and bright red. Kill them, whatever you want. Wu Yu laughed and attacked more fiercely. He had fully used the power of the law of heaven and earth. If he was not afraid of revealing his identity, he would have used his fire eyes and golden pupils, which would have caused a stronger impact on the opponent. The Cretaceous Ghost King was even more distorted. He remembered that Wu Yu and the Will Ghost King seemed to have a bad relationship. You will definitely not be able to escape. If you fall into my hands, I will make you live 1,000,000 years worse than death. Even though the Cretaceous Ghost King threatened like this, Wu Yu still did not change his face. When he suddenly approached the Cretaceous Ghost King, he used a spirit exorcism technique to impact the ghost soul of the Cretaceous Ghost King, causing him to scream in pain. After being hit by Wu Yu's exorcism, Qin Yunling was dizzy at the moment, and then he was illuminated by Qin Yunling's mirror of wrongful death. His whole body rotted for a while, and the dim yellow mist ran around on his body like insects. The power of the heavenly rule of death was destroying his body. I won't spare you. The Cretaceous Ghost King roared and turned around to flee. He was quite good at escaping. He split into many clones. After a while, he couldn't tell them apart. In the blink of an eye, no one knew where he had fled to. But it was certain that the Cretaceous Ghost King escaped with injuries. Wu Yu was about to chase him. In fact, his fiery eyes had seen through the opponent's body. If they chased him, the two of them would really use their full strength and there was a certain possibility of destroying the opponent. Of course, at least they could severely injure the opponent. Qin Yunling stopped him and said, "That's enough. Just teach this arrogant guy a lesson. No need to kill him. Their fathers were all friends. They would meet each other every day. Just teach him a lesson. Killing him would be troublesome." Of course she didn't dare to do so, but this time she taught the other party a lesson, which made her smile and feel happy. She patted Wu Yu on the shoulder and said, "You performed well, I am quite satisfied with you. Keep up the good work, and I will definitely reward you." At this time, the beauty was close at hand, and the beauty of ghosts and gods was also breathtaking and breathtaking. Unfortunately, Wu Yu had someone in his heart, so he naturally calmed his mind and asked, "It's a pity that the Cretaceous Ghost King will not forgive me. Will the young palace master protect me in the future? I risked my life and worked for the young palace master." Qin Yunling smiled and said, "Don't worry, perform well, and I will never treat you unfairly. But I can't protect your father and sister unless the Starry Sky Prison Master can work for me. No, I don't bother to care about them. Wu Yu rolled his eyes. In Qin Yunling's view, he was so ruthless that he seemed very courageous. Of course, this ruthlessness was based on the other party's ruthlessness towards him. This time, he gained the trust of Qin Yunling. Qin Yunling thought that the more leverage she had on him, the more relaxed she would be with him. How could she know that Wu Yu didn't care about the black and white impermanence and the impermanence army at all? They went in the direction that the Cretaceous Ghost King had just left. There was still no news about the nine-colored bead. What they didn't know was that the Cretaceous Ghost King, who left with hatred, was angry everywhere, holding the Wuvong soul-snatching lock and attacking everywhere. At this time, he suddenly felt that the silver blades around him suddenly increased, reaching a level that was difficult to bear. He was shocked, and then vaguely saw a huge light in front of him. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1448. This is it. The Cretaceous Ghost King was originally depressed and angry, but when he suddenly saw the sudden change in front of him, he was overjoyed and the haze was swept away. According to his experience, when he was in the storm silver blade ball for such a long time, there was still no movement, and it seemed that no one had heard of any discovery. Suddenly, an unusual change occurred. This must be related to the 10th grade Immortal King Seal. Who is the most attractive to the 10th grade Immortal King Seal? There is no doubt that it is the Cretaceous Ghost King, the Emperor Xuanhuan, and the ancient Ruo god of the Heavenly Court, Moug, and others. They are all top-level emperors and immortals, and their fathers can live forever and exist forever. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow Yanji Shenyang. But in fact, in the endless river of time, they have a large number of brothers and sisters. But there are very few who are still alive today. This is very few because some of them are no more than 1,000,000 years old. For others, basically after the limit of the lifespan of 9 UN of 1,000,000 years, even the top emperors and immortals cannot stop them from disappearing into thin air. This is the rule of heaven and earth. Only by becoming an immortal emperor, immortal and everlasting, can one transcend heaven and earth and be eternal and indestructible. This is also the goal of all immortals. After becoming immortals, they are not satisfied with the limit of the lifespan of 9 UN. Even among the descendants of the existence of the heavenly king of Chiguo, there are very few who can cultivate to the level of eternal emperor immortal and be eternal and indestructible. More than 95% of them, although they are all top geniuses when they are alive, and basically can become top immortal kings, but in the end they all disappear in the sorrow of the emperors and immortals. The descendants of the top emperor immortals, such as Moug, Guruo Shenjun, Qin Yuling of Hell, and Cretaceous Ghost King, have a greater chance of becoming emperor immortals. Therefore, they are more eager than anyone else to obtain the 10th rank Immortal King Seal. With the capital of their parents, if they can obtain the Jade Emperor's 10th rank Immortal King Seal, it is almost certain that they can reach the realm of Eternal Emperor Immortal or Eternal Emperor Demon in the future. For mortals, becoming an immortal is the great dream of generations. And for immortals, achieving eternal life is also the great dream of generations. At this time, Cretaceous Ghost King felt that he was very close to the great dream of the times that he had been dreaming since childhood. He also wanted to achieve eternal life like his father, or like his two brothers who finally became immortal emperors in the Great Waves, and escaped the fate of disappearance. Otherwise, although he was the son of Bai Vuchang, his two brothers rarely communicated with him in the family. I am afraid that they also felt that it would be difficult for this newest brother to achieve eternal life and he would have to disappear in the end. Only by becoming an eternal emperor demon, I can become one of them. The Cretaceous Ghost King took a deep breath, his eyes were burning, and his heart was boiling. The light in front began to become rich, the light was very warm and soft, and the Cretaceous Ghost King felt a little like he was in his mother's arms. He calmed down for a long time, and finally calmed himself down a little, and then quietly went to that area. In fact, the storm in this area was like a tornado, which was the most terrible he had ever seen. He also needed to use the Tegzu artifact Wuivong Soul Lock to protect himself and block the silver blades in the sky. Dang dang dang. Thousands of silver blades were smashing at him at the same time, but they were temporarily blocked by the Wuivong Soul Catching Lock. He gritted his teeth and continued to charge forward. Hope was just around the corner. The place where the light is located seems to be a calm place, like the eye of the storm. Cretaceous Ghost King knew that the center of the tornado was calm instead. There seemed to be no howling wind in front, so it was probably the center of the storm. This also fully showed that this place might be the most important place of the storm Silver Blade Ball. At least, it should be no problem to seize the opportunity of the 10th grade Immortal King Seal. He heard that 3 Immortals had already obtained 3 9-color beads. Now that he came to the core of the storm Silver Blade Ball, if he could get others, at least he would have a lot of initiative. Excited, he rushed forward suddenly and finally withstood the strongest terrifying storm. In an instant, he penetrated the storm and came to a special area. This was the eye of the storm he had imagined before, and it was also the place where the light just came out. He was so overjoyed because in the first instant, he saw 3 beads in the center of the eye of the storm area, circling each other and emitting a soft 9-color light. If Wu Yu was here, he would instantly find that these 3 9-color beads were exactly the same as the ones in his hand. 3 appeared before, and now 3 more appeared. Although it is not known what these 9-color beads are used for, anyone who sees them will go crazy now, not to mention that there is only him, the Cretaceous Ghost King, around. The eye of the storm has a wide range, but there is no storm or silver blade at all. The vision and space are very open, and there is no influence at all, which makes the Cretaceous Ghost King feel that he can get the 3 beads here instantly. Just as he was ecstatic, he was dumbfounded again in the next instant. Because he suddenly found that when he came to the eye of the storm, his body could not move even a hair, no swing, completely still, and even his eyeballs could not move, and his eyelids could not blink. He has never encountered such a situation where he could not move at all. The whole person seemed to have turned into steel or a stone sculpture, completely still and motionless. After being dumbfounded, he tried his best, but this was a terrible Aragod formation. Here, his world power could not move either, and the Wuivong soul catching lock beside him was also still. In short, this was a completely static space, everything was still. Only the 3 beads were rotating around a center, emitting soft light. The Cretaceous Ghost King was a little confused for a while, but he found that although he could not move, his body was still moving. Because he just rushed in, his body had an inertia of rushing forward. When he entered this static space, although he was completely motionless, his body slowly approached the direction of the 3 beads at a very slow speed. According to this trend, he might hit the 3 beads in 1 or 2 hours. Although it took a little longer, no one else had discovered him yet. When he felt that he was moving, he rekindled hope. He thought the possibility was still relatively high. I hope no one else comes in during this time, the Cretaceous Ghost King prayed in his heart. His eyes were facing the 3 beads. Although he was still, his mood was like a storm. But he found that since he came in, the 9-color light emitted by the 3 beads was increasing at a very fast speed. Soon the entire static space was shining, and then the light spread outward. If this goes on, other people will definitely be attracted in, but fortunately, I am still the closest. The Cretaceous Ghost King was very nervous. He knew that the test of the Jade Emperor must not only depend on luck, so he had the best luck now, but he was still worried. Sure enough, in less than a quarter of an hour, he had not moved 1/10 of the distance, and someone opposite him actually entered this static space. The Cretaceous Ghost King stared, and when he saw who the other party was, he breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out to be the Blood Underworld Prison Lord. The reason why he was relieved was that the Blood Underworld Prison Lord had secretly agreed to work for the Cretaceous Ghost King. Basically, he was his man. The Lord of the Blood Underworld had just come in and was not clear about the situation, but he could not move immediately. Then he saw everything. Soon, he knew what was going on. Although his eyes could not move, his inner changes and his eyes would change accordingly. The Cretaceous Ghost King saw what he meant. Behind the Lord of the Blood Underworld were two Ghost Kings who also came in. After coming in, even they were completely locked. Because the direction and speed of the rush in were different at the beginning, the movement in this static space was also different. For example, the Lord of the Blood Underworld was slightly off, and the other two Ghost Kings were even more off. It is estimated that they could not touch the three beads at all, and then directly passed through the eye of the storm and went out directly. When they come in next time, they will probably be able to adjust the direction and come in again. Even their own strength cannot move at all, so they can't communicate at all, and can only communicate with their eyes. Although more people have come in, the Cretaceous Ghost King still has the greatest chance for the time being. Just when the Cretaceous Ghost King was slightly relieved, another person came in from his right. This time, the person who came in was wearing a black and gold robe, domineering and cold. It was the Cretaceous Ghost King's great enemy, the Xuanhuan Emperor. He also noticed the light here, and it came really fast. The key is that he rushed in very quickly and in a very accurate direction, which shows that he is very courageous. After coming in, he quickly adapted to the situation through observation. Although he came in later, it seems that he is faster. Maybe he can touch the three beads faster than the Cretaceous Ghost King. Now the Cretaceous Ghost King is nervous. What makes him more nervous is that there will be other changes in the eye of the storm. For example, suddenly one or two silver blades will rush in, the speed will not decrease, and they will fly past. Although they have no lethality, if they are accidentally hit, they will passively adjust the direction of movement. His current direction is towards the three beads. Once the direction changes, he may miss them, and then run in vain and move out of this static space. Although there was no word between him and Emperor Xuanhuan, there was already a strong impact in their eyes. Of course, they could not do anything now, they could only wait for time to pass and continue to move. At present, they were the first group of people. Next, it was worse than what the Cretaceous Ghost King thought, and more people came in. Including Wu Yu and Qin Yunling. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1449. When Wu Yu and Qin Yunling saw the light and arrived here, it was already a little late. When they came in, they saw that there were about a dozen people in the eye of the storm. Ghost King, Prison Lord, Emperor Xuanhuan, and Cretaceous Ghost King. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. When Qin Yunling came, the three most dazzling descendants of the Emperor Immortal were all present. Wu Yu was a little confused when he first came in, but he saw the existence of the three beads in a blink of an eye. Compared to others, he should know the value of these three beads better. 3 more. He thought there were only 3 in total, but now there are 3 in the storm silver blade ball, so there are 6 in total. If these 3 are obtained by others, especially ghosts and gods, it will be difficult to snatch them from them. So Wu Yu was a little anxious. But the next moment, he also felt the power of this static space. No one could move at all. Wu Yu also followed the previous inertia and moved very slowly towards the 3 beads. The key point was that he didn't know the situation at the beginning, so the direction was slightly off. If he continued to move like this, it was obvious that he couldn't touch the 3 beads. This is a pitfall. Qin Yunling who came in with him was generally in the right direction, which was considered lucky. After all, before coming in, he couldn't see anything, and didn't know the location of the 9-color beads at all. He was able to turn the direction by luck. After coming in, everyone could only communicate with eye contact, and couldn't even look behind themselves. Everything, stillness, and slow movement, can be said to be very weird. It seems that the direction is more accurate. The ones facing the 3 beads and closest to them are Emperor Xianyang and the Cretaceous Ghost King. Wu Yu was more miserable. If he deviated from the direction directly, he would completely pass over the 3 beads and go out from the other side. But not long after, Wu Yu found that the scattered and irregular silver blades would definitely deviate from the direction if someone was unlucky and was hit. For example, Emperor Xianyang and the Cretaceous Ghost King, who finally approached and now have the upper hand, if they are not careful and are hit by the silver blades and deviate from the direction, it would be miserable. Although Wu Yu could not see their faces and could only see their backs, it was almost certain that they were very nervous now. After all, they seemed to be very close. In addition, as the number of people arriving increased, the personnel became more secretive, and the person hit by the scattered silver blades also appeared. The person was hit by a silver blade on the back, flipped several times in the air, and turned his head directly. Others were moving forward, but he was moving back slowly. It was really miserable. Of course, Wu Yu deviated from many directions, which was quite tragic. When he went out from the other side and adjusted his direction, others might have already obtained the 9-color beads. He was also very anxious. The more people get the 9-color beads, the harder it will be to collect them all in the end. There are less than 10 years left. If they are obtained separately, then I must grab at least the other 5. How is this possible? Wu Yu was also very troubled, but after all, he was not the first to discover this place, and now he has no advantage at all. Of course, there is no use in being anxious. Now he can only pray that a few silver blades will fly in and chop out the Emperor Xianyang and the Cretaceous Ghost King. But, if it's my turn, I will be chopped out many times. Wu Yu couldn't even move at all, let alone use the somersault cloud. Then time passed. After half an hour, Wu Yu didn't know how many people were behind him. At least in his field of vision, he could see nearly 30 people, including the descendants of the Emperor Demon, the Ghost King, and the Prison Master. The Lord of Fenjian Prison, the Lord of Swimming Prison, the Lord of Lichen Prison, the Lord of Washan Prison, etc. In fact, the Lord of Xin Kong Prison also came in. He was right behind Wu Yu, so Wu Yu didn't see him at this time. Wu Yu's body just blocked his sight. It was not until a while later that he saw the 3 beads. No wonder Wu Yu felt that there were fiery eyes behind him, burning his back. Could it be that these 3 beads will belong to one of them? Wu Yu could only be jealous. Just as he was thinking this, suddenly, something changed. At this time, a silver blade suddenly fell from the top of his head. The trajectory of the silver blade was erratic, and finally suddenly hit one of the Ghost Kings. The Ghost King was immediately changed in direction, and at the same time, his speed also increased. After shaking for several rounds, although the direction of the 3 beads was still not reversed, it was just right, and it would rush up diagonally, and might collide with Emperor Xianyang. If they collide, Emperor Xuanhuan's direction should change. Wu Yu immediately became excited. Of course, most people were as excited as he was. Among them, the Cretaceous Ghost King, who was competing with Emperor Xianyang, was even more excited. Once Emperor Xianyang was out, his possibility would be the greatest. His heartbeat became more intense. Everyone was watching. As expected, they really collided, and neither of them could change their trajectory. That was a Ghost King, belonging to the side of the Thunder Prophecy Prison Master. Wu Yu, the Thunder Prophecy Prison Master, didn't know which side he was on. If it was Emperor Xuanhuan's own people, it would be ridiculous. It will definitely deviate from the direction, everyone thought so. At this time, the two bodies touched and collided with each other. This was the first time that people collided with each other in this static space. However, the imagined deviation did not appear. Instead, a bigger change appeared. The two were suddenly caught in a ray of light and disappeared suddenly. Then, a water ball with a diameter of about 3 feet appeared at the location where they were just now. The water ball showed that the water was turning and rotating continuously. Then the inside became clear. It looked like a world with flowers, trees, sun, moon, and stars. In this world, there were two tiny people, Emperor Xuanhuan and the Ghost King. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. The Ghost King is called Fuzang Ghost King. Of course, people know that the world inside this water ball looks small, but it may not be small in reality. Emperor Xuanhuan and Fuzang Ghost King look very small, but in fact, they can't follow the laws of heaven and earth, and they can't become smaller. It can only be said that they are now trapped in a small world, and that small world is hidden in this water ball. They have to come out of that small world before they can continue to compete, right? Wu you guessed this way. This is normal. The design of the Jade Emperor has a sense of mischief from the beginning. In this static space, it seems that it is all about luck. Now Emperor Xuanhuan's luck is bad again. Now, as long as everyone is in the right position, they are all focusing on the two little people in this small world. Although they are little people, everyone can still see their expressions and movements clearly, and from their mouth shape, they can also infer what they are saying. Emperor Xuanhuan looked around. The whole world was surrounded by a water curtain. He first tried to rush out of the water curtain, but found that it was impossible. He couldn't do it with his ability. At this time, he descended in front of the Fuzang Ghost King and said, "Don't waste time. According to my guess about the Jade Emperor, he may need me to defeat you or even kill you before he can get out of here." Fuzang Ghost King looked ugly. He didn't want to run into Emperor Xuanhuan, but his luck was like this now. He also guessed that this was the designer's intention. Just now, he tried to rush out of the water curtain and found that it was impossible. The difficulty was unimaginable. "Emperor, I can't let you, let alone let you kill me." "Sorry." Fuzang Ghost King said unconvinced. Emperor Xuanhuan looked cold and said, "Don't talk nonsense. I don't need to use my identity to deal with you." As he said that, he was cold and fierce, and he had already sacrificed his top-level Taixu artifact in his hand, 9 Yin Emperor Demon Battle Halberd. It was a huge black battle halberd. From the long handle to the sharp blade, there were a total of 9 dark golden skulls inlaid, and the shapes were different, but just one look, no matter which skull, there was a terrifying shock. The Eternal Demon Emperor is indeed immortal, but he can also be killed, and there is still a possibility of complete death in battle. It is said that this 9 Yin Demon Emperor battle halberd was made by the Northern Yin Fengdu Emperor, who killed 9 Eternal Demon Emperors, and their corpses and top-level materials. Among the Taixu artifacts, it is almost the top one, and it is more terrible than the unintentional soul lock of the Cretaceous Ghost King and the mirror of wrongful death of Qin Yunling. Wu Yu just sighed at the horror of this Taixu artifact, and Emperor Xuanhuan took action directly, without wasting any time, and fought directly with the Fuzang Ghost King. Indeed, if he encounters the level of the prison master, he may still need to rely on his identity to suppress the other party, but the Fuzang Ghost King is the 3rd level of the Taixu Ghost Realm, and he was suppressed to the point that he only had about the 1st level of the Taixu Ghost Realm. For Emperor Xuanhuan, who has defeated many Ghost Kings, it is nothing at all. He was too lazy to suppress the other party with his identity, and he just took action. Wu Yu and others were outside. In their eyes, the two men were very small, just like watching ants fighting, but they could see the divine power and fierceness. The Fuzang Ghost King was also one of the top Ghost Kings of the Thunder Prophecy Hell. He controlled a large area and was the confidant of the Lord of Thunder Prophecy Hell. He had the Tegzu artifact AB Soul Summoning Banner in his hand. If it had not been suppressed by this Storm Silver Blade Ball, Emperor Xuanhuan might not be its opponent even if he became a Ghost King. For a while, the Water Ball was in a dark battle. The Fuzang Ghost King had 3 kinds of his own heavenly rules, plus the soul summoning heavenly rules of the AB Soul Summoning Banner. The 4 heavenly rules attacked at the same time, suppressing Emperor Xuanhuan at the beginning, but then Emperor Xuanhuan relied on only one heavenly rule, that is, the 9 yin heavenly rules of the 9 yin Emperor Demon Battle Halberd, to kill the other 4 heavenly rules. This made Wu Yu understand that the same heavenly rules, quantity is not everything, and there is also a very critical thing, that is, the level of the heavenly rules. The Fuzang Ghost King was undoubtedly defeated. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1450. As expected, after a battle, Emperor Xuanhuan showed his ability that was no worse than that of Lord Guru, and directly repelled the Ghost King Fuzang. Although no one spoke, from their eyes, it was obvious that even the Ghost King Prison Master was impressed by the Ghost King of the 9 realms. Although Emperor Xuanhuan was young, he already had the demeanor of his father, the great Emperor Bianfendu. Of course, he was also currently in hell, and it was believed that he was likely to become an eternal Emperor Demon on his own in the future. This display of strength was also considered to establish prestige. People didn't say it at first, but even the prison master was a little shocked, because they knew very well that if they had a little idea about the 9 color beads, they would definitely offend those eternal emperor demons in the future, and it would not be easy to survive in this 10,000 layers of hell. The Ghost King Fuzang was defeated and severely injured, but he did not die in battle for the time being. People believed that one of the 2 people who might collide needed to die in battle before the other could come out. However, when the Fuzang Ghost King was severely injured and defeated, there were changes inside. The water ball twisted and changed, and suddenly exploded and disappeared, but only one person appeared at the original location, which was the Emperor Xuanhuan holding the 9 yin Emperor Demon Battle Halberd. The other Fuzang Ghost King has disappeared. It is possible that he is dead, or he may have been transferred to other places inside the Storm Silver Blade Ball, or he may have left the Storm Silver Blade Ball. Wu Yu guessed. It seems that according to the rules, if you accidentally bump into him in this static space, then one of them needs to be eliminated directly, Wu Yu thought. Now Emperor Xuanhuan appeared in the original place, but his direction was slightly deviated, and there was a certain possibility that he would pass by the 9 color beads, and the Cretaceous Ghost King was very lucky. He was now half a body ahead and closest to the 3 beads. The pattern in this static space has changed, but the situation is still changing. No one is sure what will happen next. Although the Cretaceous Ghost King is already full of joy, it is too early to be happy before he gets it. The situation in the next hour is even more chaotic. The Cretaceous Ghost King, leading the way. The Ghost King, Prison Master, and descendant of the Demon Emperor in the Storm Silver Blade Ball followed in one by one. Now there are very few people outside. As more people came in, there were more collisions. Wu Yu didn't see the part behind him, but there should have been several battles. In front of him, he saw with his own eyes that there were also collisions. The Ghost King, Prison Master, and descendant of the Demon Emperor fought very excitingly, but basically the Prison Master stayed here more. Every time they collided, one person disappeared directly. I don't know if he died or was eliminated. According to reason, he should be eliminated, otherwise he would be directly eliminated by killing. The direction of Emperor Xuanhuan was getting farther and farther away. For the time being, it seemed that he could no longer compete with the Cretaceous Ghost King. His performance was very unwilling. The Cretaceous Ghost King was getting closer and closer to the 3 beads. Because he was the first to come in, it was difficult for him to collide with others, so it was the safest. On the contrary, there were many collisions on the periphery, and each collision would eliminate one person. Compared with the people behind, Wu Yu and his team came in relatively early, at least in the top 10. For example, Qin Yunling, because she was heading in the right direction, is basically one of the 5 most promising people now. Wu Yu, on the other hand, deviated from the direction at the beginning and now went to the left. Not only did he not touch the 3 beads, but there were more people who had just come in from the left side, and he would obviously bump into one of them. There were all top ghost kings and prison masters over there, and it would be troublesome if they ran into them. The key is that in this static space, no effort can change it, and you can only rely on luck. Even the silver blades that accidentally flew in from all around seem to be completely random and completely depend on luck. Qin Yunling's luck is pretty good, but it didn't last long. She had the hope of catching up with the Cretaceous Ghost King and maybe getting a share of the pie. Unfortunately, a silver blade came down and knocked her sideways. She went to the side, flipped several times rapidly, and directly collided with a ghost behind her, directly opening the small world. The one she collided with was a descendant of the Emperor Demon, named Fu Sheng Ghost Lord, whose father was 6 Fu Palace Lord, who was also a powerful person in the 10,000 layers of hell, controlling at least the deepest area of the 30th layer. His status and strength were only 1 or 2 levels lower than Qin Shaoliang Shizong Tian Gongzhu, and roughly equivalent to Si Tian Zhaosheng Great Emperor in the Heavenly Court. Fu Sheng Ghost Lord's strength was similar to Siming Xianjun, and might be slightly weaker, but after all, they were at the same level. Qin Yunling still had to spend some effort to take him down. The two fought a big battle, and in the end, Qin Yunling defeated the opponent with the wrongful death mirror. After defeating the opponent, she shook for a while when she came out, and the direction she moved in the end was actually towards the 9-color bead, and her position was much forward. Although it was in another direction, her distance from the 9-color bead was about 1.3 times that of the white chalk ghost monarch. It can be said that it was a blessing in disguise. A battle made her one of the 2 most promising people. After Emperor Xianyang showed his strength as the offspring of the top-level Eternal Emperor Demon, Qin Yunling also showed similar strength, which frightened the Ghost Kings and Prison Masters who originally had selfish intentions. Their moods changed a little, and they were obviously considering the consequences of competing with these geniuses. For example, the Ghost King behind Wu Yu had a dim look in his eyes. These geniuses are much stronger than my daughter. They are younger, but stronger. If they were not looking for the most suitable and top-level Immortal King seal, they would have been Ghost Kings long ago. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. Although Zi Mao is good, they are more worthy of the 10th grade Immortal King seal. Now that the competition for the 10th grade Immortal King seal is getting more and more difficult, I still want to fight for Zi Mao. Is there any hope? If I don't join one of the 3 of them, I will have no protection in the future. I am afraid that I can't even defend the starry sky hell. The Ghost King of the Will was a little frustrated. In fact, Emperor Xianyang, Cretaceous Ghost King and Qin Yunling all invited him to help them. The Ghost King of the Will was almost the only prison master who did not agree. However, every time he refused, it might cause him great trouble in the future. After seeing the horror of Emperor Xianyang and Qin Yunling with his own eyes, he felt even more depressed. At this time, Wu Yu still stopped in front of him. Seeing his son, the Ghost King of the Will became even angrier. At your age, if I hadn't given you so many resources, you wouldn't have been able to reach the level of the 9 Realms Ghost King. You're several times older than others, and you still think you're not bad. If you can get a little more energy, I'll still have a reason to fight these geniuses. How dare you disobey me? The more he looked at Wu Yu, the more angry he became. From the beginning, he wanted to snatch the 10th grade Fairy King seal, and it was a bit difficult to back down. He still hasn't contacted the Dongshen Ghost King, so he suspected that Wu Yu had joined forces with Qin Yunling to do something to the Dongshen Ghost King. He felt even more so since Wu Yu stopped him from getting the 9-color beads last time, which made him so angry that he vomited blood. Wu Yu's direction was getting more and more off track, while the Will Ghost King's direction was correct. He looked over there and saw that if Wu Yu continued like this, he would directly confront another ghost god. The ghost god also saw Wu Yu. He was angry and depressed, and his eyes were full of murderous intent, but there was nothing he could do. Wu Yu himself couldn't move, and he didn't want to run into this person. Well, let this descendant of the Emperor Demon, the Ghost King Mo Yin, teach him a lesson. Let him know that there are always people better than you. Just get out of here, so as not to embarrass yourself here. He was of course familiar with the Ghost King Mo Yin, who was almost one of the top 5 descendants of the Emperor Demon present. His father was one of the top judges in the underworld, named Judge Wang Sun, with outstanding strength and status. He was a big celebrity under the seat of Lord Kui, and dared to challenge the Emperor of Bianfengdu. His son Ghost King Mo Yin has been famous since he was a child, brilliant, and knows how to endure, keeping a low profile, and has not shown up for many years, but his cultivation and character are all top-notch. In fact, he is also one of Qin Yunling's opponents, and his strength is not much worse than Qin Yunling. It is said that this Mo Yin Ghost King has the life-reducing yin pen that Wang Sun Judge once used. Every stroke can reduce one's lifespan by hundreds of years. It is a nightmare-like Taixu artifact. Let this unfilial son have a good taste of this. Seeing that Wu Yu was about to collide with the Mo Yin Ghost King without any suspense, the wheel-turning Ghost King stood on the side of the Mo Yin Ghost King in his heart. In fact, the Mo Yin Ghost King also invited him. The wheel-turning Ghost King thought that now, whether it was Emperor Xianyang, Qin Yunling or the Cretaceous Ghost King, there were many prison masters supporting him, but the Mo Yin Ghost King had no prison master supporting him, so the Mo Yin Ghost King's attitude was very sincere. It's better to be the head of a chicken than the tail of a phoenix. I helped the Ghost King Mo Yin. Even if I didn't get anything in the end, as the only prison master who helped Judge Wang Sun's son, Judge Wang Sun should protect me. It's better than joining the other 3 teams. If I must be loyal to one person, then I'll be loyal to the Ghost King Mo Yin. At this moment, the Ghost King of the Will made a decision. Next, the two of them got closer and closer. He waited for the Ghost King Mo Yin to drive out his son, who was so rebellious and upset when he saw him. As for whether he was seriously injured or not, he didn't care. Now he had to give this guy a chance to learn a painful lesson. There was a touch of his eyes with the Ghost King Mo Yin. With their realm, they could communicate clearly with just a glance. The Ghost King of the Will agreed, but he wanted the Ghost King Mo Yin to teach Wu Yu a lesson. The Ghost King Mo Yin was a little stunned, but he nodded happily. After all, there was finally a prison master willing to support him.